Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday afternoon. Today I decided we'd open the next 9 packs of the 1991 Traks box that we opened last week. We'd try to find that Jeff Gordon rookie card that's the #1 card in the set that you're looking for. There's other top cards in there, but we'll kind of discuss those as we come across them. So I'll go ahead and count out 9 more packs. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there we have our next 9 packs that we're going to open up. And just to give you guys a view of these packs, very 90s in color, a lot of neon-like colors. Got that blue and black foil with that hot pink logo there on the front, and a bright yellow Traks car. The backs are very plain. Of course, there was no odds of anything to pull, but there you see the UPC code, just standard foil, pretty much tamper-proof packaging. But we'll go ahead and get started with this. Looks like there's a little damage on that card. But one of my favorite cards in this whole set, the Alan Kulwicki card, sorry. There you see Alan in front of his shop back in the early 90s. So we'll go to the next card here. We have Sterling Marlin, who was driving for Junior Johnson in 1991 and 92. Mike Collier again, pilot for Dale Earnhardt. Then we have Robert Yates, legendary team owner. Of course, during this time, Davey Allison was driving Robert's Texaco Fords. We have Larry McClure, part of the Morgan McClure team, owner of the 4 Kodak Chevys that Ernie Irvan was driving at the time. Tony Glover, who was crew chief on that car. We have Mike Beam, who was at this time in 1991 crew chief for Sterling Marlin. Mike was a crew chief for many, many different teams over the years. I believe he is now with GMS Racing as president of operations. That was the last time that I really looked up Mike Beam, and I think it was last year. His role may have changed. But I'll give you a look at the backs of the cards again. There you see it has the crew chief icon there, the clipboard. The driver, of course, would have the steering wheel. A little bit of career highlights of Mike Beam up to the end of 1990. Mike was a fairly successful crew chief, won many races with many different drivers. Jimmy Spencer driving for Travis Carter in 1991. Jimmy got his first top 5 finish at North Wilkesboro, 3rd place in 1991 driving that car. Benny Ertel. I know Benny was a spotter at one time for Bobby Allison in the mid-80s. Worked with Dale Earnhardt later on. There you see Ken Schrader, his Busch Series team at the time. George Bradshaw, we mentioned him as one of the 3 owners of TriStar Motorsports. Davey Allison. Davey is the driver that we mentioned earlier, driving for Robert Yates. Scott Houston, crew chief for his father, Tommy Houston, in the Busch Series back in the day. I'm going to start rapid firing through these. I'm watching my counter there on my time, and it's starting to pick up to 3 minutes already, and we're just now in the first pack. So we have A.G. Dillard's team. I believe Elton Sawyer was the driver at this time, and he was released, and Ward Burton replaced him in 1991, late in 91, or later in 91, I should say. Rick Hendrick, current Cup Series car owner. There we have Tim Petty. I know Tim Petty was working with Brendan's Gone Xfinity Series team when he was driving for Childress a few years ago. I'm not sure if Tim is still within the Childress organization or not. We have another Davey Allison card. We have a Marlon Wright, former pace car driver and NASCAR official, and another A.G. Dillard car. So we got 2 A.G. Dillard cards in the same pack, and a couple Davey Allisons, and Alan Kulwicki, Robert Yates, and some other decent cards. There we see Dale Earnhardt on the back of this pack, and Rick Wilson, who was driving for the Stavola brothers in 1991. Rick's best finish, of course, was at Daytona in 1988 in the Pepsi 400, where he finished 2nd. Bobby Hillin. Bobby won his only Cup race in 1986 at Talladega. I was there that day. It was very hot. Phil Parsons. We have Richard Petty, 200 Cup Series wins. Robert Presley, journeyman driver. Waddell Wilson, member of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Ted Conder, who was a co-owner with Felix Sabates in the Sabco team early on in that team's history. Terry Labonte with the colors of Sunoco with Billy Hagan in 1991. David Green, former Busch Series champion in 1994. Longtime Busch Series crew chief David Ift. Alan Bestwick, who at this time was with MRN. He's also worked with NBC. Linda Petty, who passed away a couple of years ago. She was the wife of Richard, mother of Kyle Petty. Scott Kluka, or Kluka, I'm not sure, former crewman of Dale Earnhardt. We have Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt. So those are the last two cards in that pack. Proceeding to pack number 3. We're a third of the way through the cards today. I need to make a Target run or Meyer run or something, and there it is. We'll have to sleeve that one up here in just a few minutes. I'll do that when I get through the video, but we got our first Gordon rookie card of the box. Slightly off-center, but still very nice. We'll put that one off to the side so it's out of harm's way. So we have Rick Wilson again. We have Hut Strickland, who was driving for Bobby Allison in 1991. Chad Little driving for Fast Fever Racing, his family's team. Chocolate Myers. Chocolate, of course, is on Sirius XM now with John Roberts. We have Michael Waltrip. Harry Gant, who drove the 33 Skull Bandit car for most of his career. All of his wins came in the 33 Skull Bandit, but with two different teams, Mach 1 Racing and Leo Jackson Motorsports. Jimmy Makar, who's with Joe Gibbs Racing now. Another nice Richard Petty card. Yeah, that's number 43, so that's the regular one. He's also got a couple other cards in that set. Jack Sprague and Fred Turner. I believe this is Jack's rookie card. Of course, lots of rookie cards in this set. The early NASCAR sets, the 88 through about 91, 92 max, and this being the initial set of Traks in 91, will have a lot of rookie cards as there's a lot of drivers, owners, crew chiefs, etc. making their trading card debut here. We have Travis Carter and another Waddell Wilson. So the Waddell Wilson goes up to 2 cards on our scoreboard for this morning. We got Lake Speed on the back of that. We have Junior Johnson. Another Richard Petty. I think this is my favorite Richard Petty card out of the set. I really like that Daytona main grandstand backdrop. Very attractive card. Be nice to get him to sign that one. Got Donnie Wingo. Donnie's with Front Row Motorsports, I believe. There's another Terry Labonte. We just had that one. Morgan Shepherd's old Busch Series team. Excuse me. You can still hear I'm just on the tail end of this sinus infection. I'm about 95% over it. So I get a little bit better. My voice will come back a little bit better. And hopefully this quality of these videos will go up just a little bit. We got Dale Earnhardt, card number 103. So this actually highlights his Busch Series career up to this point. Well, it talks about his Busch Series. Well, I guess that's his Cup Series wins. But there was another card in this set that highlights his Busch Series career, so I apologize for that. Tommy Houston, former longtime driver in the Busch Series. Bobby Moody, crewman for Dale Earnhardt. Red Farmer, who's about 160 years old and still racing. Lou LaRosa, former engine builder for Dale Earnhardt, and at this time in 1991 he was working with Team 3 Racing, which was owned by Sam McMahon. We have Ned Jarrett interviewing Morgan Shepherd. Another Alan Bestwick. We have Barney Hall. Barney, of course, passed away a few years ago. He was a mainstay with the Motor Racing Network. Another George Bradshaw and Lake Speed driving for Cale Yarborough Motorsports in the Phillips 66 Trop Arctic Pontiacs in 1991. He replaced Dick Trickle after the 4th race of the season. Trickle ran the first 3. He was released, and Lake took over after race 4 and ran most of the season. I believe Dorsey Schrader ran at the road courses, and then Lake was released late in the year, and Jeff Gordon was asked to drive the car at North Wilkesboro. He declined. I believe Randy LaJoie finished the season at the final 3 races in the 66 car. Tony Furr, who was at the crew chief on the 47 team, the Derek Close Racing car. Of course, Tony was crew chief for Johnny Andretti when John won at Daytona in 1997 for Cale Yarborough. There's Terry Labonte. Here's Elton Sawyer and Patty Moise. Greg Moore, son of legendary car owner and Hall of Famer Bud Moore. We have Leo Jackson. Benny Ertel again. We have Cecil Gordon, the original Gordon to drive the number 24, but no relation to Jeff Gordon. Excuse me. Cecil was a longtime driver and owner, and eventually got hired by Richard Childress as part of his crew. This is a Richard Childress Racing pack. Got another John Malloy card. We may have had him in the previous packs. David Ift. We have Eddie Wood, one of the Wood brothers. And here we go. Very nice. I'm going to tell the viewers a little bit about this card here. This is Steve Wade. Some of my friends and family know I listen to a podcast called the Scene Vault Podcast. Anybody that's a NASCAR fan, I recommend you go listen to the Scene Vault Podcast. They have all things, they talk about all sorts of NASCAR history. They have interviews with a lot of drivers, very entertaining. Well, on the most recent podcast, they give my channel a little bit of love, so I want to return that to them. But I'd also, one of the co-hosts of that podcast, Rick Houston, I had messaged him online and said, I'm doing this video series with the 91 Traks box. Any of these cards that I find, that they had a bunch of these. They had about a dozen that they gave away to some of their subscribers that Steve was signing and they were sending out. Told them if I find any Steve Wade rookie cards that I would gladly send them along to them, and that way they can distribute them as they see fit. So we're up to Steve Wade count number 1. I'll pull that off to the side for those guys. So go give them a listen on your favorite podcast app, Scene Vault Podcast. Very entertaining. I think they're real close to 75 episodes. Very entertaining, very informative. And I'll have to go back and listen to some of my favorite episodes, but they've had all the top stars there, so definitely go check them out. We have Winston Kelly, MRN, Papa Joe Hendrick, late Benny Parsons, and former NASCAR Technical Director Gary Nelson. Looks like we got about 4 more packs to go, maybe 5. Try to blitz through these. There's another Gary Nelson on the back, so Terry Labonte. It looks like a very similar pack to the one before. Greg Moore, Leo, Ertel, yep, Cecil Gordon. So the collation was not very good, and there's a second Steve Wade rookie. So we have 2 Steve Wades back-to-back packs. So Rick and Steve, you got at least 2 of them coming your way. And we still have 18 more packs to go, plus 3 more in this stack. So we have Rick Hendrick, Mike Collier, Phil Parsons. So we're getting a lot of repeats here. I'm sure quality control was a little different then. There we have Barry Dotson, who passed away a few years ago. He was crew chief for Team 3 Racing at that time, but he had won a championship with Rusty in '89. We have Robert Presley, Wayne Bumgardner, former crew chief. Not the Jimmy Johnson, but the first Jimmy Johnson with the Hendrick organization, who was one of the executives, as with Rick Hendrick there. Travis Carter, owner of the 98 Chevy at this time. Butch Miller, who's probably one of the greatest short track racers in America, had a brief stay in the Busch Series. Car owner Richard Childress. Then we have Benny Parsons, Will Lind, and Morgan Shepherd, who was driving for Bud Moore at the time. 2 more packs to go. These ones are getting a little easier to open. So we have the Motorcraft Transporter. We've discussed before in previous videos of the 91 Traks, the Transporter cards are checklists. So there we have the last 25 cards of the set. So if anybody's looking for the last 25 cards, there you go. Neil Bonnet, former driver and announcer, one of the best of both. He was a really good driver and a really great announcer. Made that transition after a head injury in Darlington in 1990. We have Michael Waltrip again, We have Dale Jarrett, who was driving for the Wood Brothers in 91. I was at Michigan in 91 when he won his first Cup Series race in a photo finish over Davey Allison. Ken Schrader, who was driving for Hendrick at the time. Tommy Ellis. I can't remember who Tommy was driving for at the time, but this was near the end of his career at the top levels of racing. Ted Morgan, again, part of the Morgan McClure team, part of the ownership group. We had Marlon Wright a little bit ago. Tony Glover. Mike McLaughlin. We have Ted Musgrave. Alan Bestwick. We had another Tommy Ellis and a Jimmy Martin. I'm not sure what role Jimmy played. He's just a team member of Petty Enterprises. So you get some interesting information from some of these folks that worked on these cards way back then. Say way back then, 30 years ago, 29. Dr. Jerry Punch, who was a pit reporter for ESPN, one of the best in the business. Again, we have Mike Collier. If we got Phil Parsons fans out there, we got you full of Phil Parsons for today. Sterling Marlin. Barry Dotson. Kirk Shelmerdine. Also about number 4 on Robert Presley for today. Jeff Hensley. We have another Jimmy Johnson, Rick Hendrick card. Travis Carter, Butch Miller, Richard Childress, Jim Phillips, who's with MRM, Will Lind, and our last card of the day will be Morgan Shepherd. So we did get the one card we were looking for, which is nice. We'll get that one sleeved up here in a few minutes. So we did find another Jeff Gordon rookie card. And then, again, the two cards that I mentioned earlier, we did find 2 Traks rookie cards of Steve Wade, which I will be sending their way once we get through the other 2 stacks of packs. So those won't be going anywhere. But, yeah, check those guys out. They're a really good listen. If you're going to have some downtime from work, especially with this COVID-19 situation going on, give them a listen, all you NASCAR fans. I think you'll really, really enjoy their program. They got some really good guests. Like I say, they gave me some love on their podcast on the last episode that just dropped this past week. So I appreciate that. They didn't have to do that, but they're good people. And once again, once we get to 100 subs, we keep inching our way there. I got a few cards that I'll be giving away. One of them, it'll either be a Tony Stewart, a Ken Griffey Jr., or a Braun Strowman. Those are all rookie cards. I know everyone likes their rookie cards out there. So somebody out there will be a lucky and a happy subscriber. But once again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in this Tuesday. I should have another video out coming tomorrow. I don't know if I'll do more Traks 91. Somebody said that they wanted to see my 1996 set of the VIP autograph set that I finally got completed. We may do that as well. I may try to make a Target run today and pick up a couple boxes of 2020 Donruss. That's always a popular item out there as well. So anyway, I thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Throw me a follow on Twitter. I'm not always that busy on there, but maybe in the next couple weeks I might be a little bit busier. But I appreciate you guys watching. So as always, thanks again. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.